Kia ora, hello, I'm Philip Duncan. It is Thursday, the 29th of January. Thank you very much for joining me. We've got a few things going on today. A cold front moving up the South Island, bringing some rain and showery weather to both sides, western and eastern sides of the island. That cloud moving into the lower North Island as we go through today. We've got a tropical cyclone, although it's an unofficial one. It's not named by the Fiji Met Service, and that's because it's borderline and it is also leaving the tropics at the moment, moving southwards. It won't last very long because of the high pressure belt that's around northern parts of New Zealand and especially out here around the Tasman Sea. So it looks a little dramatic this morning, but it is going to fall apart over the next 24 to 48 hours and doesn't pose a threat to New Zealand as you're going to see in the maps. So this map here highlights that even more so. You've got this deep low pressure zone leaving the tropics, so it obviously can't be a tropical cyclone once it's outside of the tropics. So that is moving away southwards and running into that easterly belt of wind, and it moving into higher air pressure, which is moving in towards the New Zealand area. So a lot of things are working against that low to continue on. Now the placement of these highs west of us is encouraging that cooler airflow. That's why temperatures are down again around the South Island. Still pretty warm though in the North Island, hot places, in fact, some places getting up towards 30 degrees. You've still got a windy westerly blowing through central areas, and even at the top of the country, that southwesterly flow, not exactly very cold. So 1 o'clock Friday, already that low pressure zone moving in towards Norfolk Island is falling apart. There's low pressure out here around the Coral Sea as well, sort of stealing some of its energy. As far as our weather is concerned, that slightly cooler airflow continues on. If you look at your temperatures tomorrow in the eastern North Island, they're down several degrees on what you've got today, and that is that shift in airflow. A couple of showers around, won't be very much. Similar story around the South Island, a couple of showers here and there. Otherwise, large dry areas. The winds are mostly light thanks to high pressure being on both sides of the country. Into the weekend, high pressure east and west of us, a small little bit of low pressure off the coast of Canterbury just to change the airflow a wee bit. So a bit of a southwesterly or even a northwesterly, either way, westerly quarter wind is moving back into the South Island and the lower North Island. It won't be very much, but you may still see a few showers. The blue that you see around places like King Country, Waikato, over towards Bay of Plenty, could be in the form of some afternoon showers that form, or even just some afternoon clouds that build up. North of New Zealand, the heat is being dragged down by the leftovers of that low pressure zone right here over the top of Norfolk Island. And so we do have some hotter weather coming through for Sunday into the North Island. Nothing too extreme, but you will notice those temperatures going up. And further to the south, northwesterly winds or westerlies out of Australia means it won't be overly cold, even if it's a southwesterly wind in some areas, like for example, along the west coast. Dry weather really extends across a large part of the country going into the weekend. So Sunday, now you've got that hotter airflow to the north of the country, light winds associated with, thanks to high pressure that is just off the coast of Taranaki and Waikato, high pressure between Canterbury and the Chatham Islands, and another high pressure zone northeast of New Zealand. So there is a lot of high pressure. It's not overly powerful, but it's enough to push away most of the rainmakers. And so heat lifts up around the far north. You might notice that in other parts of Northland going into Sunday night. And temperatures are also going up in the South Island, not because of the tropics, but because of the northwesterly wind that's forming, although some of you do have a subtropical breeze coming in, even if that curves around locally as a southwesterly. Dry weather once again around Nelson, Tasman, and over into Marlborough, regions that I do not talk about enough. I'm sorry, but as you know, the weather's not often that bad there, so that's why I don't talk about you too often. So Sunday's a pretty good day across the country if you're looking for some hot, sunny, dry summer weather, but the clouds are going to build in the south as we take you to Monday, and that cold blast is still forecast. So we've got rain moving up the west coast, rain moving into the southern half of the South Island. There could be some thunderstorms as we transition from the warmer, hotter northwesterly winds to the cooler, colder southerlies or southwesterlies, depending on where you are. So showers move up New Zealand. We'll see some developing around the top of New Zealand as well, daytime heating contributing to that. The little red circle you see there indicates that the northwesterly flow, which is going to be fairly warm to hot, on Monday afternoon around the eastern North Island. We could be seeing temperatures up to 30 degrees, maybe just over. That is an indicator that it's hot up in the atmosphere more so than on the ground. So you're not seeing 38s or things like that, but we are expecting around 30 degrees in some places. That could still move around a little bit in the days ahead. So Monday is a warm to hot day in a number of places, especially northern and eastern areas. And then of course, the colder change sweeps on in as we go towards the end of the day. And so by Tuesday, the cold front out here past the Chatham Islands, not a lot of wet weather behind it all. So it's short and sharp. But when you wake up on Tuesday morning, those temperatures will be down, especially inland areas of both main islands, but also eastern areas of the North Island after that warm to hot Monday. Your temperatures drop on Tuesday, and that may be the same in some northern parts of the South Island as well. So a little bit colder when you wake up in the morning. Daytime temperatures start to bounce back up again. They may still be down though, as I say, in these eastern areas. You could argue that it's refreshing, right? And then out here in the Tasman Sea, a much stronger high pressure zone, 1028. That's getting up there a bit more, and so the higher the air pressure is, the less likely that a low pressure zone like this one up here over Tonga is going to cause any major problems for us. And that low next week, the tropical one, another one to keep an eye on, because it's in that right kind of position for it to grow stronger around, in particular Tonga, but Fiji's nearby as well. We'll be monitoring that, but like I say, high pressure, pretty strong in the New Zealand area there, so it's got a pretty hard chance of getting down towards us. Now, as that high crosses over the country, over central parts of New Zealand, Wednesday of next week, a couple of different airflows, easterly breeze around Northland, Auckland, Great Barrier Island, Coromandel Peninsula, Western Bay of Plenty, and even down to about Mahia Peninsula, more of an easterly flow coming through for you. Southern end of the country, more of a westerly wind starting to develop, and you'll probably get that through Cook Strait as well, the usual nor'wester. And then again, I said this yesterday, some eastern areas may have a breeze just off the sea, a northeasterly, for example, in somewhere like Christchurch. So while there are a few things moving around, pretty dry, not much to talk about, but you may be noticing the low up there, and we may be talking about that a bit more because it might turn into a tropical cyclone, but it is expected for now to be an offshore storm as far as New Zealand is concerned. So that strong high, the 1028 one, now out over the Chatham Islands, even east of the Chatham Islands, moving over the international date line, heading back to tomorrow. And then you've got the next high pressure zone coming in behind it all. And so that placement, again, just pushes a wee bit of wind into the South Island, lower North Island, northwesterly winds here and there, and that will help lift up the temperatures in a number of eastern areas. So again, warmer weather coming back in to quite a few places, just a few showers, or a bit of patchy rain maybe in Fiordland, but just a few showers expected further up along the western coastline. And here is Waitangi Day's forecast. So this could still change, being just over a week away, but it doesn't seem to change a lot from most of the weather next week. So high pressure west of us, and that links up with that other high pressure zone moving well out over the Pacific Ocean. Still worth keeping an eye on that one, because the shape of this high pressure zone in the Tasman Sea and the shape of the one and the size of it as it leaves us will help guide that tropical storm as it moves out of the tropical zone and more down towards our latitude. So it's worth keeping an eye on. Surfers, I'm sure you'll be looking at that, hoping it moves just a little bit closer. It could still be pushing in some swells, though, to that northeastern corner of the North Island in particular. Before I go, a quick look at the 7-day rainfall map around the country. The pink that you see over much of the North Island, certainly at the lower end of the scale, 0 to 5 millimetres coming through. A few other areas, and this may still move a little bit depending on exactly where some of those showers form, still only seeing sort of 5 to 10. So that is very good news for the areas that are dealing with the cleanup. In the South Island, driest around Marlborough and around Nelson. Also eastern parts of Otago. Those areas aren't seeing a huge amount of rain, but we've got some wet weather today that'll be showing up in this map here for Canterbury. And of course, we've got that cold front coming in on Monday with more wet weather. But generally speaking, we're not really seeing anything too extreme, but there could be some rain warnings over here around Fiordland and maybe some other parts of the west coast. So we'll keep an eye on that. But otherwise, at the moment, we are lacking severe weather, which is a nice thing to say after the weather pattern we've had for the past couple of months. Thanks for joining me. See you again tomorrow, Friday.